Advising everyone present that tonight's meeting will be recorded and will be uploaded on the council's YouTube channel for future viewing. So tonight we have one item on the agenda, which is the Brum Breathes Fund. So I'm going to invite in Lana and Nurul, who will talk us through, who are both officers are from the council, who work on the Brum Breathes team. So they'll advise us what the Brum Breathes Fund is about. Once they have finished, people will have an opportunity to ask them any questions, and then I will ask them both to leave, and we will hear from two potential funding applications that have come in from the ward. So I'll begin first of all by handing it over to Lana and Nurul. So if you each want to introduce yourselves, and then I think you have a short presentation for us this evening. Okay, so you're on mute, Lana. So I'm just got. It's all right. I'll mute myself and hand over to you both.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. So I'm Lana Forrester and I work within the Clean Air Zone team, and we are responsible for the Brum Breathes Fund, which is a new fund. And I'm joined by my colleague Nurul, who I'll get to say hello to you all.
Hi, my name is Nurul Chaudhry. I'm working in Clean Air Zone and also involved with the Brum Breathes Fund.
Okay, thank you, Nurul. We've got a short presentation to share with you. So what I will do is I'll turn my camera off so that the presentation doesn't get impacted by the camera being on. So if you just give me 2 seconds, I'll get the presentation loaded up into Teams. Okay, so can I just check, can everybody see the presentation okay?
Yes, we can, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So as we've just done, myself and Nurul, we're from the Brum Breathes team, and we're just going to give you a brief overview of the fund. So the Brum Breathes Fund aims to support projects across Birmingham that help improve air quality. These projects should help to raise awareness of the impact of poor air quality on our health. The Brum Breathes Fund has been created with revenues from the Clean Air Zone. It provides single member wards with £20,000 per year for the next 2 years, and that's up until the end of March 2025, and 2 member wards £40,000 per year over the 2 years, and again that's up to the end of March 2025. In total, across all the 69 wards in Birmingham, there's just over £4 million worth of funding available. Again, that has got to be used up by the end of March 2025. Now, as you can appreciate, I'll just highlight here that we're nearly at the end of the financial year, but that doesn't mean that the 23-24 allocation will have been lost, because you will actually take that forward into next year if you want to apply for the grant funding. So the 2 years will still be available even though you haven't applied for it, up until this point. So that's just to clarify that point for you. So the fund was originally launched on the 1st of June 2023. And as I've just alluded to, it's been made available for all 69 wards within Birmingham. But what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to put on a short video that just gives you the overview of the fund. If you do encounter any difficulties, can you just let me know if it doesn't load properly?
Sorry, Lana, we can't see anything yet.
Sorry, Nora, did you say you couldn't see that then?
No, we can't see
Okay.
anything.
Okay, just 1 second. I'll have to share it in a different manner then. Just 1 second. I do apologise. Okay, I'm going to try this method instead. Can everyone see that YouTube screen now?
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay, that should work then.
There doesn't seem to be any sound though, Lana, so I'm not sure.
Sorry, did you say there's no sound on it?
No, we couldn't hear any
No.
sound.
Okay, I think we might have to just leave the video for this moment, but it will be on the slides if you want the slides sent over. So the link, and I can put the link into the chat for you to look at afterwards if that would be helpful.
That's helpful. Yeah, if you share the link in the chat box, then people can watch that later on.
Yeah, I'll just post it now for you, but I'll then carry on with the rest of the presentation if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Apologies for the technological errors.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, so we'll go back to the presentation now then. So I've sent the link for the video, so that's there for you to have a look at after the meeting. Okay, so moving forward then, potential ideas. So to help inspire you, here are some of the schemes or projects that may be supported by the fund. I know this may not be appropriate, being as though you are looking to discuss some potential projects this evening, but some of the things that could potentially be funded would be cycle racks, school traffic exclusion plans, sustainable transport measures, implementing perhaps parking restrictions, air quality monitors, purchase of those, literally anything that you could show would have an impact, a positive impact on improving air quality within your ward. Now, just one thing to note is that your project must create some kind of tangible asset and it should be self-sustaining. Funding is only available until the end of March 2025. So if your project requires ongoing maintenance or support, even if it's only occasional, then you will need to demonstrate how you would provide that ongoing support, because that's not something that we would be able to fund from the Brum Breathes Fund. So that's quite a key point, and it's got to be a tangible asset as such. So these are the alignment to the clean air strategies. Projects need to show alignment with the high-level spending priorities as set out in the Birmingham Clean Air Zone charging order. It needs to support the delivery of the ambitions of the scheme and promote cleaner air, support active travel and incentivising public transport use, support zero emission and sustainable infrastructure and actions in and around the city to improve air quality. Birmingham City Council published its clean air strategy in 2022, and the strategy sets out a clear set of actions, priorities and pledges that will enable everyone in the city to be part of the journey to improving the air that we breathe. So what your application needs to do as well, it needs to be linked in to one of the 5 Brum Breathes themes. So you have to be able to demonstrate how they support one or more of the following 5 themes from the Birmingham's Clean Air Strategy. And that's to either improve the fleet, improve the flow, reduce the volume, reduce sources and exposure, and empowering behaviour change. And what I'll do now is I'll just give you a brief overview of those 5 themes. So improve the fleet. It's about discouraging the most polluting vehicles, both private and public, from our city, and this will lead to an overall reduction in air pollution. Improve the flow, so smoother and faster journeys that help reduce congestion, which will help reduce emissions, and this applies to active travel routes, public transport, as well as private vehicles. Traffic congestion creates a bubble of air pollution, with idling vehicles wasting fuel, wasting money, and generating unnecessary carbon emissions. Reduce the volume, so fewer vehicles equals less pollution. By moving from private car use to walking, cycling, public transport, or working from home, can all reduce the number of vehicles on the streets. Reduce sources and exposure. By reducing the sources of air pollution and our exposure to poor air quality, we reduce the likelihood of poor health and damage to the environment. We should limit the sources of air pollution and our exposure where we work, travel, live, play or study, especially for the most vulnerable. Empowering behaviour change. To encourage and support individual behaviour change to improve air quality by embedding into our culture, businesses, organisation, local communities, the council, etc., the policies, guidance and capability to be less polluting. So what's the criteria for applications? We need to have it from if it's coming from a community group, it needs to be a constituted community group, and you can apply to the funds to support activities that will enable their community to benefit from measures aimed to promote the benefits of cleaner air. A requirement, though, is that the community group must have a UK bank account held in the community group's name. So that's a key requirement. Applications can also be submitted direct by your ward councillor. Applications from community groups and councillors will be considered between £1,000 and, for your ward, £40,000. That's per year. As we mentioned earlier on in the presentation, all funding must be committed by March 2025. And funding can be used to cover capital costs, new and existing projects, and one-off initiatives. So the checklist for applications is to check your project meets the eligibility criteria. So it's about making sure that, if it's a community group, that, you are constituted, you've got that bank account in your name. If you haven't got the bank account in the community group name, then obviously you'd need to go and apply for the bank account before we could pay any funds. We'd need to make sure that, you've got the 5 links to the Brum Breathes theme included. So it only has to be one of the themes, or it could be more, it could be 2, 3, but obviously that needs to be included in your application. You need to share the idea with your local councillor. The application form guidance, which is again on the spreadsheet, and I will put the link into the chat for you all, is there for you to have a look at, to just make sure that you've reviewed that before submitting. Obtain the requested information that forms part of the application, e.g. if you've got any quotes that are needed. So if you're buying a tangible asset or a cycle rack, that you've managed to obtain the quotes and include it within your application. So just a brief application overview for you. All applications to the scheme must have the support of your local councillor, be agreed with your local ward forum, which is what obviously the whole point of tonight's meeting is, isn't it, to discuss Brum Breathes funds. It also needs to align with the priorities of your publicised local ward action plan. So once you have the support of your local councillor and your local ward forum, then you're ready to submit an application to the fund. That's just an infographic of the actual application process. And that just literally states what we've just gone over in the slides. So the next steps would be, once you do have the support of your local councillor and your local ward forum, submit an application to the Fund. For community groups, it needs to be completed online via the following link, which I will post into the chat for you. If it's direct via one of the councillors, then it's a slightly different process, and we can arrange to send the relevant application form to the councillors. Once we've received the application form in whatever method it's been submitted to us, then the Brum Breathes team will review the application. We may need to contact you about any queries that we have. And also we've got an email address specifically for Brum Breathes Fund inquiries that you may wish to contact us with any queries on as well. And that brings me to the end of our presentation. So obviously we're here for a period of time if you have any questions in relation to the fund or the process.
Thank you, Lana. So if anyone has any questions, if you could raise your hands, please, and I'll take you in order of number that I can see on my screen. So I've got, first of all, Councillor Akhlaq Ahmed first. Would you like to ask a question?
Yes, Lana, thank you for the detailed presentation. It was very helpful. You mentioned a couple of things. One, the tangible asset. If you can give us a couple of examples of tangible assets. And then it says that support from the local councillor. Now, who will be doing the due diligence on the community group in terms of that they are actually a community group, and it's not something that has been set up, you know, just in a fraudulent way? So, you know, will the officers be vetting that, or will that be down to the local councillors vetting them? Thank you.
Okay, so if we talk about tangible assets first, let me just make a note of this: tangible assets and groups. So the tangible assets, that could include things like cycle racks. So if you wanted to, increase the availability of safe spaces for people to be able to cycle rather than use the car, then you could perhaps purchase some cycle racks. You would need to make sure that you have any, any permissions that are needed for the land to be used in that manner, where it depends on where it's been located. So you need landowners' permission to put any cycle racks in, but that could be an example, or it could be perhaps maybe some works on your local highways, certain things on the highways. So by tangible asset, we just mean that there's got to be a capital project element to it, and that obviously there's, how can I put this, a demonstrable piece of equipment or project. So it could be that as we've said, a exclusion, sort of a safer schools, streets, that type of thing. So that's what we mean by tangible assets. In relation to the groups, we would, as part of the appraisal process, we do checks on the groups. We request evidence that they've got the UK bank account and that they're constituted. So we would like to see the documentation behind the group to show that they are a bona fide group, and that is a part of our appraisal process as well. But as well, your wards better than any of we do. So you've got to support the application as well as the local councillor.
Thank you, Lana. So I've got another question. Bob Harvey, I've got you down next. I wanted to ask a question. Would you like to ask a question?
Yes, thanks very much. I've just got in front of me an article from the Birmingham Post on February the 8th, a couple of weeks ago. The headline is "City is Suffocating in Silence Over Wood Fires." And the article talks about the harm that's coming to people's health from wood burners in the city. And it mentions that almost 1,500 complaints about wood burning have been submitted to the council in the last couple of years. And there's been no action whatever taken by the council in terms of fines or prosecutions. And that seems to be a nationwide problem as well. I think there's just one prosecution across the country and 3 fines issued for over 10,000 complaints nationwide. So, I mean, the whole point of what the presentation is, it seems to focus is on air quality. And to my mind, this is one of the most important risks to public health currently in Birmingham and elsewhere in the country. And I'm just wondering if there's any sort of scheme that could be introduced, like maybe using some funding to have more enforcement action on the part of the council regarding illegal wood burning.
Okay, I'm not really qualified to be able to discuss sort of enforcement processes, but I can certainly take the question back. But this is where this fund, if like as a community group, or you felt that there was something that you could implement at a local level that would have a benefit on, you know, the air quality is in relation to wood burners or something, then that's the type of thing, you know, we'd be interested in seeing as well. But I can certainly take your question back and to see about the enforcement aspect, but that's not something that we deal with in our team, if that makes sense. I would have imagined it would be more perhaps maybe environmental services.
Yeah, I was going to say, yes, in terms of with something like that, it would obviously, because it's as Bob has mentioned, it is a wider problem. So it'd be something probably that the environmental team, something that have to be picked up with the environmental team, and see what the current council policy is around that. What action they're taking currently, and if there's anything more that can be done. But it would be quite helpful, Lana, if you were able to feed that up and get some kind of response on that. That'd be helpful. So I can't see any other questions, and I'm conscious of time. So. Lana and Noura, thank you very much for attending today. That was really helpful. That was a really helpful presentation. So I'm going to politely ask you to leave the meeting now, so we can start discussing some of the projects that we have actually had come in. So
okay.
Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah,
thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, just before we leave, after your discussion on the proposal you're going to discuss, if there is a question comes up related to those things, and if you need further inquiry, Lana, definitely we will drop our mailbox details, so you can ask a question, or if the applicant wants to know more about this, should be no problem at all. Okay, thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
I'll just put the mailbox details in the chat for you, so that if anybody's got any queries, then they can contact us direct.
All right.
Brilliant.
Okay,
Thank
then.
you.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, that's our mailbox. So thank you and have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Lana.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. So we're now going to move on to discuss some of the proposals that we've had come through. So the first one is from it's a joint proposal from the Active Wellbeing Society and the Clean Air Justice Network, and we thought it was quite an excellent proposal. But we've also had some proposals come in from community groups as well. Unfortunately, All Greens Keeping It Clean, a representative from the group is unable to attend tonight. I can't see anyone from Whole Greens Keeping It Clean here, because I was hoping that they were able to come to present on their proposal. And if there is anyone there, I'm happy to do that, because I've had extensive conversations with them around that, and there is a proposal that us as councillors that we'd like to explore further as well. So I'll speak on that. So, but first of all, I'd like John Milichap to introduce himself, who's going to be presenting on the first proposal. There's the opportunity to ask him any questions about the proposal. So over to you, John.
Thanks for that, Councillor Suleman. As I mentioned at the top, I'm standing in today for Ian Woodall, who would have been presenting, but is unable to come along this evening. So I'm afraid you'll have to bear with me. But I did help write the proposal, and I've been part of the discussions for it. I don't have a presentation, but I can read through the material that I have, which hopefully will give you a strong outline of what we're proposing. And then if you have any questions at the end, I'll certainly do my best to answer them. So right at the top, I think Lana mentioned the 5 key themes for the Brum Breathes Fund, and this particular proposal connects to that by empowering behaviour change. That's what we've really focused on, and creating a project that's specific to Hall Green and its residents. And it will focus on the creation of green school clubs, which is a new project created by the Active Wellbeing Society, and it will take place in local primary schools. This is a 2-council award, so funding over 2 years will be for just under £40,000. The project aims to inspire and support behaviour change in young people and their parents by making knowledge of sustainability in the environment a familiar part of daily life. The project will highlight the close relationship between clean air, the food we eat, and the places we live. It will show how health and well-being is directly connected to this system, and how individual choices and community actions help to shape it. Children in economically disadvantaged areas are more likely to live near major roads or industrial zones where air pollution is higher. They're also likely to have limited access to green spaces and recreational areas, making it more difficult for children to engage in outdoor activities in a clean and healthy environment. This project helps to overcome some of these barriers. The proposed activities will include, but they're not limited to, creating a community growing space for children and staff to design and plant and maintain, to build a composting site to develop skills and knowledge, and growing and harvesting food to be used in school meals. It will encourage biodiversity by planting native species that encourage and sustain wildlife. It will include building a rainwater collection system, and it will involve doing repair and recycle activities to reuse items and prevent them from going to landfill. The project has been created to deliver practical knowledge and the experience of the impact that poor air quality has on the health of people living in the ward. It will take up the council's offer to install air quality monitors in these schools, and it will look at the links to carbon capture through the growing of local vegetables and plants. These school clubs will encourage project participants to see access to clean air and a diverse natural environment as issues of social justice. They will seek to make air quality and environmental equity garden fence issues, and they will underline the urgent need for behaviour change across all levels of society, from business and local government to communities, schools, neighbourhoods, and the individual. Project rollout is based on the appointment of 2 staff, a greening and growing coordinator who will design and lead the growing activities, and a project liaison officer who will build strategic partnerships, provide a point of contact for local communities, and raise awareness of the project. Brum Breathes branding will be displayed on all key aspects of the project, including school gate banners, school newsletters, websites, and social media channels. The first 6 months of the project will involve engagement with schools by the project liaison officer and the coordinator. They will gain permissions and promote clean air awareness in a range of short projects with the children. Local councillors were central to designing this approach, Visits will take place during lunchtime and after regular school hours as an extracurricular activity. The projects will be supported by visits from a local mobile share shack, which is operated by the Active Wellbeing Society and based at Hay Hall in Tyseley. Share shacks are also known as libraries of things, and they offer tools and equipment that are free to borrow, and they also act as a base to share knowledge. We will ask young people to design projects that they believe will help address poor quality in their communities. The activities offered will be detecting, monitoring and reporting on air pollutants in the local area, using the clean air monitors provided by the council, creating community gardens, building composting sites, encouraging biodiversity, and running repair and recycle activities supported by the Share Shack. At the end of this, they'll attend a seminar event at the Council House in Birmingham, where they'll have the opportunity to present their work and learnings to a panel of council dignitaries, including the mayor, local politicians, clean air experts and academics. The aim will be to encourage them to experience civic participation and to build confidence. We expect to generate the following outputs as a result of this project: to engage around 150 young people in the ward, to communicate the benefits of clean air, sustainable travel and sharing. We'll work with local councillors to engage 2 community groups in the process of monitoring air quality and promoting the benefits of green growing and carbon capture. And there will be an opportunity for 150 volunteers to get involved in the work in schools. Monitoring of the project will be done by the Active Wellbeing Society, which has independent evaluators on staff who will perform ongoing evaluation and report back to the steering group and provide a selector report at the end of the 2 years. Evaluation will focus on perceptions of clean air and the young people's and their parents' experience of the project. We'll also collect feedback from professionals, politicians and civic dignitaries engaged in the presentation event at the Council House. The aim will be to produce a model that can be used to transfer best practice from one part of the city to the other. Our evaluation model will also collect examples of best practice in the schools and produce a dissemination paper for all interested parties in the Clean Air Justice Network and beyond. Does anyone have any questions about that?
Thank you, John. If anyone has any questions regarding this project, if you could please raise your hands. And then I'll bring you in. So, John, in terms of the project, I think what we really liked about this particular project was that you know, it's instilling knowledge and education into children, you know, in the ward, you know, which is, I think, is really, really important. And where there's challenges for schools in terms of you know, there's so much expectations. And we have Karen on the call, who's one of the head teachers for the schools for Hall Green Secondary School, and I'm sure more than myself, she'll be able to tell you, you know, some of the challenges that you know is on schools at the moment on their resources. So I think any additional support that can be given, you know, to the schools would be really, really welcome. I suppose my question would be, because we've got one secondary school in the ward, would you be able to work with the secondary school as well, or is it just primary schools?
The project has been designed for primary schools in particular, but I don't see why a specific project could be designed with secondary schools in mind. I mean, the whole idea is to create, I suppose you could say, a cohort of environment ambassadors that take learning beyond the school gates and into communities to connect with parents and friends, grandparents. So they become, as I say, garden fence, curbside issues, the sort of thing that everyone's involved in.
Karen, would you like to come in?
Yeah, thank you, Saima. John, I think it's a brilliant idea, and you know, would be interested in a secondary version. I guess, you know, there's a couple of things for myself. Firstly, that we could potentially support with our links with the primaries through the sports partnership that we do. So I can see some potential links. I don't know if it's a possibility, but secondly, that we would like to, we develop ambassadors and leaders, and actually we're looking for community leadership projects. So whether or not, I know it's not a secondary project, but whether our leaders could help deliver it in the primaries, that might help get over some of those resourcing issues. So I'd be really keen to follow up and see if there's any potential there. I think it's a great idea.
That sounds brilliant. Yeah, I mean that would be fantastic. I mean, part of the strength of the project is it gets young people out doing activities outside, being active together. But certainly I can feedback that idea. I think it's a brilliant that secondary school students could be able to lead primary school students.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Great.
If we could look at that.
How should we follow up with that? I mean, I can give you my contact email, and
I can share emails if you like. So I've got Karen's. I've got your email.
I can drop it into the chat box if that's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
No
brilliant.
problem.
I can't see any further questions. So I guess Kay, you've been on these meetings previously. In terms of approval, do you normally have a show of hands, or is it just?
I think you could possibly ask if everybody's in support, and if there is no opposition, then that'll be okay. And I understand that I have to do a note of what was said at the meeting to forward to Brum Breathes when they come to appraise the application.
Fantastic. So if everyone is in, if anyone has any objections to this proposal, please raise your hands. Bob, did you want to come in?
Yes, I mean, I raised the issue earlier about pollution from wood burners, and I think if you just refer back to that article in the Birmingham Post and elsewhere in the national media, it's a real problem, and I feel that if there is money to be spent from the Clean Air Zone fines and charges, that ought to be a top priority for spending, and there's been no mention of that apart from myself during the presentation that we just heard, and there's nothing that's been proposed is going to tackle that particular problem, which is a major problem. So in that sense, I'm saying that I would much prefer that all of that money tackles the long overdue enforcement of existing legislation regarding these wood burners, which is just totally being ignored at the moment.
Thank you, Bob. In terms of if you recall what Lana was going to take that away in terms of what the issue that you described, we haven't had any proposals come in regarding the issue that you're discussing. So no community group or anyone has come in with a proposal. I mean, if you have a specific proposal, you would need to send it in to ourselves for us to look at. So what we're looking at the moment is proposals that we've actually received already, and what we're doing at this meeting is getting agreement on all the proposals at this meeting, and then they will go through the due diligence and the application process, where the council will then look at whether Lana's team will and Nurul's team will look at whether those proposals are accepted or not. So this is for us to discuss the proposals that we've had come in. So on this particular proposal, if everyone is in agreement, we will move on to the next proposal. Thank you, John. So you don't need to stay for the other two, but thank you very much for that. That was a really extensive discussion on the proposal.
Thanks, Councillor.
Thank you.
So you don't need me to hang around?
No, No.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you.
have a great evening. Thanks, everyone.
You too. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. So thank you. So in terms of the next proposal that we've had come in, this has come from a local community group called All Greens Keeping It Clean. So many, some of you may already be aware of them. They're a local litter picking group who've over the last few years grown tremendously and doing some excellent work around the ward. And one of the projects that they're keen on is improving the entrance to the park walkway opposite the Burberry brickworks. And it's for a proposal for some bollards to stop cars parking at the entrance and just to improve that the entrance work there. So I'm working with them on putting in an application for that. And the reason why we're supporting the application is because we think that will really improve, public space, for people to walk. It'll make it more attractive for people to be able to walk there. At the moment, it's really unsightly because it's often blocked by several cars. The proposal is to put bollards on the entrance that will sort of open up the entrance for and allow families and walkers to easily access the park. So that is just for a small part of the fund. So it's not for the whole amount. So if anyone has any objections to that particular one, please. Yes, Bob, if this is in relation to, sorry, if this is in relation to this specific proposal,
yes,
and not a repeat of what you previously said, then I'll take that, yeah?
Yeah, could you clarify exactly where, is this on Stratford Road by the bridge over?
No, this is Foreman's Road. So do you know where Burberry Brickworks is on the Foreman Road? So just opposite, there's an entrance, so that there's a walk, because there's an entrance to the park there.
Yes, I think I walked along there recently, and I thought you were talking about that's initially Stratford Road, and there is a problem there of cars parking along the footpath. Well, I think it's not the council section; it's an area in front of the fence where you got a lot of cars, and it is a bit of an eyesore there. And I thought that was what you were addressing, but maybe that's something additional. But I think you're talking about a lot of fly tipping and so on. Are you in the site that you're recommending? So
in terms of with that one, yeah, it does attract fly tipping. So the park have got, I should say, the park have got funding to improve the fencing. The group are looking to get funding to improve the fencing around there and just improve that whole entrance. So this would be in addition of them bringing in other fundings. So this what this specific proposal is for some bollards just to go across that entrance. The gate, there's a gateway there and an entrance. So it would just be bollards to prevent cars parking, because it's very difficult on Foreman's Road, you're probably aware how sort of tight the footpath is, and there's the pushchairs or anything, people on bikes would not be able to get access there. So it's to improve that that whole entrance to the park, and it will encourage more people to be able to walk and cycle around there safely.
Yeah, so this is part of the River Cole walkway that you're talking about?
Yes, it is, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I would think that's a good idea if it improves that area, but also that other section I mentioned, I think that could be helped as well. And I don't know whether directly across the road, I'm talking Stratford Road now, there's right next to the bridge, there's a section of the wooden fence that's been broken, missing for at least a year, probably a lot longer. They've got some roadworks barriers there, brightly coloured, red and white, I think. And I've reported that numerous times, but I mean, if there is anything you can do to ensure that the wooden fence is repaired there, that would help as well, improve the environment.
Yeah, in terms of with anything like that, Bob, happy to pick that up separately to this meeting, because that will come into parks, so we can look at, raising that with the parks, to see if there's any funding there for repair work to the actual entrances. This proposal is actually for on the actual street outside the entrance of the park. So I take it then that we have approval for that proposal as well. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, did you want to come
Sorry,
in?
yeah, could you just say how much, if you know, that application is for in terms of funding?
We're just waiting for the figures from the district engineer, but it's a small part of the funding. I wouldn't like to say because obviously we haven't had the figures back from them yet. It's with the district engineer. Okay. So if we move on to the third and final proposal, now the final proposal, it's in early stages, but I thought it's helpful to bring this to tonight's meeting just to just to hear from residents what their thoughts are. So as many of you are aware, we have got issues in terms around the Hall Green Parade, with double parking, some antisocial behaviour, etc., with the increase in food outlets on the parade. So one of the proposals that I've asked our district engineer to look at is if there is any measures that can be introduced on the parade to discourage double parking. Now he did laugh when I said that, because he said that it's very, very challenging to bring in traffic measures to prevent double parking, because it's a behaviour issue. But one of the things I suggested was maybe introducing a cycle lane just on that stretch of Hall Green Parade, to reduce the width of the Stratford Road, which may, help in preventing double parking across there. So the district engineer has gone away to look at what designs and proposals that we can bring potentially on the Hall Green Parade, but that would involve reducing the width of the Stratford Road on that stretch. So I'm just waiting for costings and designs from the district engineer. He did say that the cost may be quite high, and we may not be able to cover it with this fund. However, I'm still keen that we get some designs and ideas together, and potentially look at other sources of funding as well when they come up, because sometimes like with this fund, when funding suddenly comes up, then you're trying to go and look for a design or ideas. At least we'll have the ideas in place. So that's the proposal. We don't need to vote on that particular proposal tonight. We can bring it to our next ward forum meeting, because it's in early stages and I don't have a specific proposal for that. So I'm happy to bring that back to our next ward forum meeting. So if anyone has any questions or anything particular to say about any ideas on what we can do, I'm happy to take that now, and then we can discuss it. I can pass the suggestions on to the district engineer and see if they're possible. Bob, I've got you up.
Yes, on that issue. I mean, I've seen that myself so many times, the double parking, and it's absolutely crazy, particularly weekends and in the evenings. But it is already completely illegal, isn't it? And I would have thought it's a matter for the police to enforce the law. And it's not just the double parking, it's parking all over the pavements on a red route, which is also illegal. So I think it's a matter of enforcement, and Karen will know, like, around pretty much every school in the area, there's illegal parking. I know, I live in Petersfield Road. The top of Petersfield Road, there's people parking, completely blocking one side of the road at school finish times and so on and so on. So, yeah, it would be helpful if the police were involved in a meeting such as this to hear the concerns and to hopefully bring in some more enforcement action to deal with the issue. Because you bring in your cycle lane, and somebody who's willing to double park in the bus lane, I don't think they're going to be put off by seeing a cycle lane there either. You know, you could spend a lot of money, and really the fact remains it's for the police to enforce existing law. The law is there already.
Yeah, no, in terms of with the police, we are constantly raising this with them, and they have, because with the police now they can issue fines, you know, remotely. So when they're driving, if they're driving past and they see that they have like a device that can pick up number plates and issuing fines. So what they've told us is that they're constantly issuing fines, but this isn't changing the behaviour. We've asked for enforcement officers from the council to come out as well, to issue fines as well. A couple of weeks ago, the teams were out after we'd asked them to you know, to come out. But again, as Karen is probably aware in terms of the schools, this doesn't seem to be changing the behaviour. So I think we've got to look at you know, changing the infrastructure so that it's easier for, so we're making roads more safer for pedestrians, and you know, make it that little bit more challenging for people to you know, break the laws as they are doing at the moment. So as I said, we can bring back some solid proposals at the next ward forum meeting, but it's just to let people know that this is something that we are taking seriously and that we are looking into what can be done in terms of on the whole green parade.
But I just come back on that. I just wonder a question really, whether the police are actually lifting up their vehicles that are parked illegally, taking them to a pound somewhere, and then people have to pay several £100 to recover the vehicles afterwards. I mean, that would be a real definite deterrent if that were to happen.
Yeah, I don't think they, you know, I don't think they're currently doing that, and if I'm honest, I don't think they have the capacity at the moment in order to do that. We have actually had a changeover in police sergeant. So I'm just waiting to hear from or giving the contact details for the new sergeant as well. So it's something that I'll be picking up with him as I was with as we were with the previous one, previous sergeant who's now moving on because he's got another job. So yeah, I will be picking that up with him as well. And as soon as possible, we will get a police tasking meeting set up for the ward as well with the new sergeant, so that people can obviously meet him or her, because we don't know who they are. So as soon as possible. Okay, so if no one has any further questions on this proposal, I will close this item on the agenda. And is there any other business anyone would like to raise? So I can't see anyone indicating that they have any other business to raise. So I will bring this meeting to a close. Thank you all for attending. We do have another ward forum meeting, which is next month. Kay, I can't remember the date off the top of my head. Do you know what?
I do. Hold on, let me just have it. It's the 12th of March. 12th of March.
So it's on the 12th of March. That meeting is focused on bereavement services, because we've had a lot of residents get in touch with us about concerns around bereavement services. So we will have officers from the council available to answer any questions that residents have. We will hopefully by next month have some more solid proposals to bring on the whole green parade proposals. So that's all from myself. Councillor Ahmed, did you want to add anything before we close the meeting?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody for joining the meeting, the officers with their input, and hope to see you guys at the next Ward Forum meeting. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you all. Have a good evening. Thanks, Kay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks all. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night. Thank you.